to another episode of Jenny's Chateau Farm. This past week we took advantage of the relatively low temperatures in the mid-20s to get a lot of gardening work done, or rather it was especially my boys who were doing the real heavy lifting. They managed to clear an entire second courtyard that many of you might not have seen before. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to film them working because my son was doing a lot of the work and he does not want to be seen on camera. So I can show you the results afterwards and give you a small sense of how it was beforehand. Basically, it had brambles as tall as me everywhere, and they managed to fight their way all the way through, and underneath all the brambles was all kinds of chicken wire, pieces of wood and pieces of metal and lots of rusty nails and things. So it was quite the endeavour, and the results at the end of it all are really quite amazing and open up all kinds of possibilities for what we can now do with that space. There used to be chickens in this area, and we were thinking that at some point we might put chickens back. But since they've really done all this work of clearing it, we're beginning to have some other ideas of what we might do with it. Before they started, it was just completely overgrown with these brambles. The entire part of this courtyard was just full of brambles to head height. So it was an incredibly laborious job to clear all of them, and they have done a fantastic job of doing just that, because beforehand it was completely impossible even to open those barn doors. So now that they've cleared it, they've discovered that there are in fact edging stones around the borders where there might have been flower borders in the past, and it's made us think about different uses we might have for this corner of the estate. What we were thinking is that maybe this quiet little courtyard away from the main house could be a perfect place for a swimming pool. Also this week, Patrick came to finish installing our kitchen, and I think you'll agree it looks absolutely amazing. He really is a master carpenter. Also this week, my boys helped me to weed the courtyard so that we could at least make it look a little bit more civilized. Identify this plant so that I could decide what to do with it, and it turns out I think it is Acanthus mollis, and it can be quite invasive, which makes sense looking at it because it's really kind of spreading through this bed, and it's completely full at the moment with hundreds if not thousands of great big seeds. So I'm going to take them all off. I'm sure many of them will still regrow anyway from the roots. Things that are invasive are pretty hard to get rid of. It's quite beautiful, so I don't want to completely get rid of it, but by trying to get rid of it, I'll at least minimize it and prevent it invading the entire border here. But I'm going to, because it's so full of seeds and they're so huge, I'm actually going to separate them into a different wheelbarrow and possibly take them to the déchetterie rather than putting them in my compost. Normally I wouldn't worry too much about seeds in the compost because they'll probably sit there for a year and they'll sprout and then decompose and then just become part of the compost. But because this does seem to be really quite invasive and the seeds are so huge and there's so many of them, I think I'd rather not take the risk. So that's what I'm doing with this section of the border. So this vine is actually a grapevine. It's a sweet eating grape. It's not the cognac grape. It's been here for a very long time, since way before we bought the house. And it has kind of taken over or run amok through the beds, because it actually starts over there and it's come all the way along up through the olive tree and this other tree with the pink flowers, and it's also climbing up the terrace, which I think is rather pretty. So our neighbour, Killian, who makes cognac, he spotted it the other day when he came over, and he suspects that the roots probably are 4 or 5 meters into the ground because it's so old. So he feels it's very salvageable, and he's offered to help us to fix it up so that it will produce beautiful eating grapes for us. I don't think they're ripe yet, but let's try anyway. Ooh, that's really good.
Very nice.
And finally, after all that hard work, we decided to take a day off and head to the coast, where we enjoyed a boat tour around Fort Boyard, visited d'Aix with its Napoleonic fort. We went for a swim and spent a magical evening on the island of Aix and Ré. haven't already, please do subscribe and hit the notification bell. It won't cost you a penny, but it really will help our channel grow. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again next time.